A series of attacks. The second story I want to talk about is a series of attacks on tech and big business in general, launched by both the left and the right, both by Trump and the social justice warrior left. So let's start with Trump. We know Trump essentially attacked Google last week for manipulating their search results. He claimed that basically Google was returning search results that favor leftist hit pieces on him over objective or conservative news sources, and that this was manipulating what he called, quote, the free flow of information and the free flow of ideas. He asked Jeff Sessions, his attorney general, to look into the matter. Sessions has set up a meeting at the end of September with other state attorney generals to discuss this matter, and it should make your skin crawl. This is not a good development. It's a really bad development, and it shows a drastic misunderstanding of the freedom of speech in America and the First Amendment. Now, there are misunderstandings of the First Amendment on the left as well, particularly when it comes to campaign finance and net neutrality, where the left is really bad on this issue. They're really anti-free speech. But when it comes to free speech of Google and free speech of firms like Google to put out products and have people use those products, this is a clear violation of their free speech rights if Trump is going to start regulating their search results. Just because somebody doesn't like what's returned by Google doesn't mean they don't have a right to put it out the way they want to put it out. Google is a private company. You can freely use it or not use it, and you can always opt for an alternative. If there isn't an alternative, then you can start your own. And if there isn't anyone even after that, well, that's too bad. The fact is, Google is what created Google. The founders of Google is who created the product of Google. So they decide how it's used and what their policies are going to be. Now, personally, I think that if I were running a social media company or a search engine company or any of that, I would want to be as content neutral as possible to get as many people to use my product as I can. That doesn't mean that they're all going to do that. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook is hugely into the social justice movement, and others in Silicon Valley seem to be as well, but that doesn't mean they're not going to do the right thing and make their platform content neutral. There are certain people they'll ban, like Alex Jones, and I may disagree with their decision, but the fact is it's their decision, it's their property to do so. You may be free to do these things, but you're not free to avoid the consequences of doing these things. If they decide they do it, they ban somebody, and people stop using their product, then so much the better for those people who don't want to use the product. They've gotten their message across peacefully. The other attack on big tech came from the left, and that was good old grizzly socialist Bernie Sanders from Vermont. Over a Labor Day weekend in New Hampshire, Bernie made a speech decrying Jeff Bezos and Amazon for being too wealthy while their employees take home federal benefits. He later, on Wednesday, introduced a bill called the Stop BsOs Act. Stop Bezos, clearly a reference to Jeff Bezos, which would mandate that all big employers, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Walmart, would have to pony up 100% tax on all benefits that are collected by their employees, such as Social Security, such as Medicare, food stamps, subsidized housing, etc. Now, before I get into the meat of this, and I have quite a bit of criticism for this point, I just want to point out how silly and inane this is, this acronym of BsOs Act. That's what it is, believe it or not. When they say Stop BsOs Act, they don't just mean the guy. Bezos in that act is an acronym. Well, more properly, it would be a backronym. They started with the name Bezos, and then they tried to shoehorn in all these words that make their point or make their legislation more clear. Bezos in that act stands for Stop Bad Employers by Zeroing Out Subsidies. That's their big move, is to make this clever little acronym out of somebody that's involved with the law, and it rolls off the tongue, and then it just keeps propagating itself. And meanwhile, people don't even know what the letters stand for. They forget what the words and the concepts even mean, and it becomes a complete floating term for them. That's how these ideas go by. These FDR wannabe types, these Bernie Sanders FDR wannabe types, are really good at coming up with these alphabet soup type of phrases that roll off the tongue. I mean, I could do it right now. I actually wrote one down here. Sanders. I could create a bill called the Sanders Act, or the Sanders Bill, all caps, Sanders, and it would stand for Socialist and Egalitarian Revenue Stream. How's that? Easy, simple. It's my backronym. And then people will forget that it has to do with socialist egalitarians and revenue, and they'll say, oh yeah, it's the Sanders bill. Yeah, that rolls off the tongue. That's easy to remember. See, it's just so inane, these people. But this is, what happens when your political ideology can fit on a bumper sticker. It's really, really sad. Anyway, there's some serious criticism about this Amazon bill, this attack on Amazon and Walmart. Well, first of all, it isn't Amazon and Walmart's fault if the government defaults on its position to subsidize all these handouts and goodies for everybody in the economy. I mean, the whole idea of a welfare state, of an entitlement state, is free goodies for everyone who needs them, cradle to grave entitlements. You are a ward of the state, you exist, and therefore you get some payment, some payout. Well, the problem with that is you run out of money. As Margaret Thatcher once famously said, the socialism eventually fails because you run out of other people's money. And that's true here. I mean, it's not Walmart or Amazon's fault that the taxpayers in this country have been so bled dry that incentives have diminished and people are setting their money offshore and outsourcing. They don't want to hire American anymore because it's too expensive to hire American workers. Just ask Peter Schiff. He has a great podcast and he talks about this on the issue in his show all the time. And the fact is, Amazon and Walmart, they are already taxed by the government. Their profits are taxed, their revenue is taxed, all the raw materials are taxed. They have to have business licenses that they have to pay royalties on. Their dividends are taxed. All their board members are taxed on their capital gains. Even their products, when you go to sell them in a store, they get hit with sales tax. So it's like they're taxed from start to end, and now they're asking for even more taxes on the grounds that they're successful. Let's keep that very important point in mind. The only reason Walmart and Target are targeted by these people, by Bernie and the others, is that they're successful. So they're being penalized and demonized for being successful enterprises. Let that sink in for a few minutes while you ponder this legislation if you think it's a good idea. Now, another point is that Walmart and Target and Amazon and these other big employers already are helping these people. They're giving them a job in the first place. This goes back to my sweatshop labor point. You have to remember, people's labor is something that they trade for a salary or a wage. Your wage is determined, or at least correlated heavily, with the value of the labor you offer. If you're doing a low-skilled job, don't expect a high salary. It's just not likely to happen. And these people who have low salaries tend to have low-value skills. They are not employable in most other industries. And so if Amazon crops up in their neighborhood or Walmart crops up in their neighborhood and offers them a job at a salary that they like and they want to take it voluntarily, that's their choice. And it actually is a benefit for them. It's giving them an option they otherwise wouldn't have had. Walmart and Target didn't have to exist. Walmart and Amazon didn't have to exist. So the fact is these people are already employed by these companies. The fact that they either can't manage their money or they need more to live the lifestyle they want isn't grounds for taxing them because the government now has to pay for it. That's totally improper. Next point is, aside from helping the immediate employees, Walmart, Amazon, Target, all these stores have done a phenomenal job of revolutionizing shopping itself. They've revolutionized consumer spending in this country. I mean, look at Walmart. It's an all-in-one store. You don't have to make several stops. You don't have to go to CVS to get your prescription, and you don't have to go to Whole Foods to get your food. You can get your groceries, your clothing, your prescription. You can get everything from Walmart at a cheap price. It saves you gas money. It saves you time. Amazon, it's the same thing. I mean, Amazon started out as an obscure book retailer online. It was believed they were going to be beaten out by Barnes & Noble and Borders, and here they are now selling diamonds, jewelry, books, furniture, clothing. Heck, you could even buy like lawn equipment. You can buy all kinds of things on Amazon. It's an all-in-one superstore, and with a click of a button, it can get to your door in a few days. That's incredible. That's phenomenal. That was undreamed of 20 years ago. It's something that people would have thought was a high-end luxury or out of a science fiction novel. So, they've already revolutionized everyone's standard of living, not just the people they employ. They've revolutionized particularly for the poor. So I think it's really important to keep that in mind as well. Finally, and this is the most important point I want to make, these companies that are successful, they've earned their money. And to point to somebody who's wealthy and to say, well, there's inequality of wealth, they're wealthy, others aren't, therefore there's a problem, is to drop the context of how that wealth was made. Now, there are people who earn wealth, like a Jeff Bezos or a Bill Gates, who create wealth. by their own brilliance, by their own hard work, by their investment and their foresight, and they've earned their money. They've produced a value. People have paid them for that value. They've earned the money and they are entitled to it because they created it. They should keep it, every penny. On the other hand, somebody like, say, a Bernie Madoff or a Al Capone, say, or a hold-up man at a bank who gets wealthy because nobody catches him, these people don't create wealth. They destroy wealth. They are parasitic on people who actually created wealth. So you shouldn't package together. You shouldn't put those two things together and say wealth per se is a problem. Wealth is a problem if it was obtained illegally, immorally, or immorally. It's a good thing, and it's a wonderful thing in particular if it's done on a massive scale in a voluntary market. Now, if Bernie and others want to see the demise of Amazon or Target or Walmart or any of these firms, here's what I would advise you to do. Simply stop using them. You can boycott them just like people boycott the NFL. Throw away your iPhone. Deactivate your Amazon Prime account. Don't go to Walmart anymore. Shop at the mom and pop stores. Pay full price. I mean, the fact is, you'll see in a couple of days if you do this how much poorer you are, how much more you're spending, and how less convenient it is. Now multiply that across everyone else in the economy and wonder, well, people going to do this, want to do it? Are they going to be happier or better off doing it? I don't think so. So if you want a society that passes a law like that, then do that for a few weeks and see how you feel. Hi, Rob here. Did you like what you saw? If you're really interested and want to see more, click the link below and check out my YouTube channel to see full episodes of the One the Many videocast. Thanks. Hope to see you later. Bye.